what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Speak from the Heart. My name is Cole, and today I'm going to be talking about big time lies. So, basically, this episode is going to highlight some identity problems and how we can honestly just move past the identity crisis by looking at Jesus. And this is a huge topic that I talk about in a lot of my episodes. I always talk to my athletes and ask them questions about how did you find your identity outside of your sport? And there's always a thing that they go back to, the athletes talk about, and how they kind of escaped this identity crisis of I am my sport. And this can be used not just as in an athletic sense, but as a human sense, as a Christian sense, who we are as human beings. So basically there's three main lies that we are kind of taught, that we believe, that are almost like systematically put into our heads that we carry on throughout majority of our lives. So the first one is I am what I feel. So what we feel in our hearts, our feelings toward topics, toward people, toward our sport. Our feelings are what we are, how we feel. That is everything that has to do with what we are as a human being. Two is I am what people say about me. So a lot of the time people are people pleasers. I am too a lot of the time. I want people to not be disappointed in me. I want people to like me. I want people to look at me and be like, oh, there's Cole. I love that guy. And sometimes whatever they say, I take it to heart so much that I honestly believe it more than I did before I heard that. And so people's opinions matter to me, especially. Growing up, it always did. Whatever they said about me as a person, as a baseball player, if they told me I was good, I believe that I was good. If they told me I was bad, I'm kind of like, well, dang, am I bad? And the third lie is I am what I do. So your job, your sport, whatever you do for your hobbies, we sometimes believe that that is our identity, is what we do, because honestly, it kind of consumes us, like especially at a job. Working 8, maybe 10 hours a day, maybe sometimes even more. We get so consumed in that. And then at a sport, I was at the field from 10:30 to 6:45 today. So, I was at the field for an hour or 8 hours and 15 minutes. And that can consume you a little bit. I was around baseball all day, so I'm baseball. But that's just not true. And that's why they're lies. The whole point of this is to process this idea of having image management. So having this mindset that we can manage our image through Jesus. And we are in such a performance-oriented society. Like, if I don't win, then I'm a loser. We have to win at all costs. That's the only thing that matters. And it's always good to have that competitiveness and that fire. But when it comes down to it, sometimes winning isn't everything. And that's weird to say as an athlete, because that's what we've been taught our whole entire lives. We were taught to compete. We're taught to compare to other people. I always looked at the opposing shortstop when we would take IO in high school. And even in the earlier stages of my college career, I'd be like, oh, dang, he's pretty good, or I'm better than that guy. Or, I would compare myself to him. Or maybe the road that my teammates were on, that they were so much ahead of me that I almost felt like I was behind, and comparison is the thief of joy. So I always thought I was behind. I wasted time. I wasn't good enough, We chase validation early on in our lives. We want people to clap for us. We want people to say, rah, rah, there he goes, there she goes. I'm so proud of them. We want to hear those things because they matter to us. So Ecclesiastes 4, verse 4 says, I observe that most people are motivated to success because they envy their neighbors, but this too is meaningless, like chasing the wind. So we are in a constant state of hunger for approval sometimes, and to have affirmation for what exactly we're doing. Sometimes the road that we want to go on may not be appreciative of other people, or maybe it may not be like, that's not a great idea. For instance, if you wanted to be a content creator, like something that I'm doing now, some people may not think that's a good idea. Oh, well, that can't be a good job. There's not much money in that. That's kind of, that's for certain people that you can do that. But I enjoy it, so I want to chase it. And if I've learned that if people clap for me, it's awesome. And I've gotten so many claps. I'm very appreciative of all the people that do support me and tell me that, it's awesome what you're doing. But looking back on that as well, if no one said anything about it, I don't think that I would stop it, right? But here's the truth about this, is that you are not a nobody. You are a somebody. And God made you with love and with care, and he had purpose in your design and who you are as a human being. We all have skills and amazing talents that not everyone else has. And identity comes from God, not the world. So who you are as a human being does not come from your friends, from your family, from your coaches, from your boss. It comes from God. And here is this cycle that we kind of go through. It's called the identity theft cycle. So first, we are given this image. Okay, I am baseball. That is exactly who I am. Then we go to idolatry. So image to idolatry. I love this sport so much. It is everything to me, and I almost put it on a pedestal. Then we go to identity. I am baseball completely. Every part of me is baseball. I am nothing else, and it is the only thing that matters to me. And then it goes back to image. So all those steps, image, idolatry, identity, and then back to image, it basically is this cycle of identity theft, and it leads to emptiness and to brokenness, because anything that we can find in this world that we may associate with ourselves as a human being and attribute to our identity and our image will never ever fulfill us. Baseball has given me the best and the worst, but it has never ever filled me. It has never satisfied me in a way that Jesus has. And Mark 8 verse 36 says, "And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul?" That was such a cool verse that I had written down whenever I was creating this sermon, or I guess this episode, sorry, not sermon. But that was such a cool verse, because sometimes we look at, what can I get from this? What is the fame and the fortune and the money and the, whatever you may be getting from whatever you consider your identity. For instance, me and my buddy Gavin Baird, I talk about him here and there, but he was my roommate my second year of college at EKU, and I remember we were going to the gym one day, and I told him, I feel like I'm in this for the wrong reasons, talking about baseball. And he was like, so tell me, what are some of the reasons that excite you? And I was like, well, I love the money that comes from potentially getting drafted or signed and making a lot of money from professional baseball and the fame that comes with it. And he was like, dude, what? He told me, I play for these reasons. He played for the fun of it. He enjoyed the game. He loved being around the guys like Ron, Santi, and Owen, our friend group. He loved being around those guys. And I was like, dang, I really need to check my priorities and my motivations and what I believe is my purpose. And I thought about that. What if I gain all those things, but I lose my own soul in the world? Because flesh is temporary. You can't bring your money to the grave. You can't bring your fame and your fortune. In the end, it doesn't matter. Because I know this may be a little morbid, but we are all going to pass away one day. And the people that do remember you, or majority of the people that remember you, will remember your character and who you are as a person. They're not going to remember how much money you had, or how famous you are, or anything like that. There's people that are remembered for their fame, but in the end, that doesn't really matter. Basically, what I'm getting at is this core truth that as Christians, our identity is received, not achieved. There is absolutely nothing that we can do to gain more as a Christian. We have already been given. Jesus died on the cross for us. He's forgiven us of all of our sin and gave us a chance to be with him for eternity. There is absolutely nothing that we can do more except give our life to him and serve him and serve others on this earth and bring glory to his kingdom. In 1 John 3 verse 1, it says, "See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, because that is what we are." So there's also an alternative cycle, not the identity theft cycle, but the life-giving cycle. So first, we start off with our identity. So I'm a Christian, and Jesus loves me, and that is who I am. I'm a Christian. Then it goes to intimacy. So having a relationship with Jesus, being in constant prayer with him, diving deep into the Bible, asking in prayers for help and for guidance, having that relationship with Jesus through prayer and through going to church and spending quality time with him. And then third, it goes to image. So we look at ourselves in our image as a Christian. And then lastly, it goes to identity. So the cycle of identity, intimacy, image, back to identity will give us life. In James 4 verse 8 it says, "Come near to God, and he will come near to you." And I got a couple more verses. Ephesians 2 verse 10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He has created us anew in Christ Jesus, so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago." And in 2 Corinthians 3 verse 17 it says, "Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom." So those three verses are so powerful. It teaches us to stop chasing identity, and that we live from it. We live from our identity as Christians. That is the starting point, right? Like in my interview with Boone Chevy, we talked about being a Christian is not, or giving your life to Jesus is not the end point. It is the starting point. Jesus is the starting line. We give our life to Jesus and we go throughout life with him. He wants to have a relationship with us. He's knocking at the door. I actually saw this really cool picture on TikTok, and this guy was kind of, I think it was a painting actually, because he was giving a description of it and talking about like the painter, when it was created and all this stuff. But basically it was Jesus outside of a door, and Jesus is kind of looking at the door, and he has a light in his hand, but he's only knocking on the door. He's not trying to get the door open, and there's no handle on his side of the door. And so basically what this painting was about was we are on the other side of that door, and Jesus is knocking, and he has the light in his hand. He is willing to guide us and direct us through the darkness once we open the door, but he can't open the door for us. We have to open the door for him, because we are already what God says we are. We are loved. We are Christians, and we are God's masterpiece, it says in Ephesians 2 verse 10. He created us. We have a divine design. He created you. He thought you were beautiful. He thought you were the best thing ever. And he wants to be your best friend. He wants to hang out with you. And we only can allow that if we want it as well. So, in close this, those are some big lies that we believe, is that we are what we feel, we are what people say about us, and that we are what we do. And that's just wrong. So don't give in to the identity crisis and believe in the life-giving cycle of having an identity in Jesus, having intimacy and a relationship with him, and then changing your image from who you are as a human being to who you are as a Christian. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all taking the time out of your day to check out this episode. Feel free to watch my other episodes, my other interviews with all these cool athletes, and I'll keep you posted. We're going to have, I'm going to do a interview with a couple of athletes this week, so I'll get the interview testimonies out these next couple Sundays. Thank you all for watching, and I really appreciate it. God bless. Oh, and come back next Sunday for the next episode.